Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then, the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Welcome to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Arianne, and I'm joined here with the beautiful Heidi.
Hello.
Our first topic on this Weird News episode is going to be about how a Chinese city has banned dog walking in daylight hours. So
why?
Yeah. So we're going to start off with why.
That's insane.
So, well, I guess there was a Chinese founder. I don't know if he was the exact Chinese founder or if he was like one of many, but his name was Mao Zedong.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mao Zedong.
Yeah. Did I say that wrong? Obviously.
But it's okay.
Is he still alive? Probably
No,
not. He's like a founder, so it's been there for some years, right?
Yeah, it's Mao. Yeah, he's like a well-known, I don't know what that word is for him, ruler, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Very communist, apparently.
Oh,
he was.
yeah. He's, very communist.
Well, anyway, according to him, in his like thought process, I guess, he thinks that having a dog or a pet is an affectation. Now, what affectation means
Thank you.
is it's not really natural. Like it's to put on a facade, like you're, faking it to make yourself look better, basically.
That sounds like a very communist idea.
Yeah. So that's why, and that's also why there are really strict rules about dog ownership in China.
Oh.
So, which I didn't know this until I read this story. I was like, what? Why? Dogs are everywhere. They're awesome. I mean, I'm allergic to them.
Do you really think that?
I like dogs, actually. I'm a dog person. I don't really like cats, but growing up, we had a dog, German Shepherd, the best dog ever. And I really liked that dog. I was allergic to that dog.
Yeah, then you just died from your allergies.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, because of this, that's why they put this rule or ban on dog walking, specifically in this town called Wenshan. They are no longer able to walk their dogs between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Is that like to discourage dog ownership?
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like
it seems like it would be, though.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's the idea, to discourage dog ownership. Because I feel like that sounds like definitely a thing that Mao would say, because like the idea of like, oh, we're all equal, and oh, you have a dog, you think you're better than us,
exactly.
like in a communist idea.
Yeah,
man.
So there's also an area in Beijing where larger dogs are banned. Like you can't even have them.
Oh,
yeah, it's crazy. And so that's why they're saying there's like hardly any like dog parks or anything like that, because they don't want you to have dogs. They don't feel like it's a normal thing to do. Like in America, we think pets are awesome.
Right, yeah, we have a lot of pets.
Yeah, but they're not allowed, even when they do walk them, when they are able to walk them in the early mornings or at night, they can't take them to parks. It's just like a walk along. And you have to clean up after it. So you can't take it to shopping centers, sports facilities, public areas of any sort, just down your street. But I feel like down your street is a public area. So,
right, yeah.
But they're like, we don't want your dogs out and about. And if they are, they have to be on a leash no longer than 3 feet.
Oh, wow. That's very strict.
Yeah. And that's why, because they're really strict.
Discouraged. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. But I think that a 3 foot leash is very short.
Yeah.
And
it
so,
is.
I mean, what's the point? in even walking your dog.
Yeah, I feel like that just means people will just not have dogs.
Yeah, well, yeah, because then they wouldn't even want to have them have that as a restriction anyway.
Right.
Because having a pet, you know, you want to take care of it, let it roam free, do its thing, you know.
I mean, not too free, but
right.
I feel like then your dog is going to be cooped up in your house all day. Like, you're not going to want that.
Yeah, no. Because especially if it's not trained, that's just going to be the worst.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
And your neighbors are going to hate it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have like a barky dog that's upset.
Yeah, poor dogs. They also, I don't know the immunization like criteria for owning dogs out there, like if they have to be immunized or updated on their shots. Like out here, your dogs have to have a shot record.
Yeah, it's very regulated.
Yeah. I don't know if they need it out there, but it made it seem like they don't really regulate it as much, because they said that a lot of this, they're trying to say that a lot of this is because of people's fear of wild dogs. And I don't know why they call them wild.
Like rabies infected?
Yeah, because a lot of people die from rabies each year. They have a high number of deaths from dog rabies.
Dog rabies specifically. Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's just the idea of like if your dog gets out, you know, it's going to like start a pack of wild dogs that all have rabies.
Yeah, and it wasn't specified. They're just saying this is a fear. So they're not saying, it's because of this. They're just like, well, what if that situation does happen?
Right.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Huh. It's not very common in like Asian American households to have pets.
Yeah.
It's not a common thing. Huh.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. But I do know that I read an article before that Americans, how we take care of dogs or even like household pets or whatever, we're seen as the weird ones.
Oh yeah,
because,
I bet.
Yeah,
because we like let our pets sleep in our beds.
Yeah, and it's like we treat them like family members, like they're our kids or our parents or whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of other countries, they're like it's a pet, it's an animal.
Yeah, it's very different.
So yeah, we're the weird ones for caring for animals the way we do. Yeah.
Interesting.
But, yeah. And then I even think I heard one article say that we try to like humanize pets.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Well, with the clothing and all that.
Oh, yeah. Like Halloween costumes for your pet.
Yeah. Even like the little dog sweaters, like the miniature dogs. What are they called? The ones that are here?
Oh, like little like chihuahuas.
Yeah. They have clothes for all of those. It's
yeah.
Like,
they like people throw their pets' birthday parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah,
which is weird. That's weird to me.
I could see how other countries think that's very strange.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think it's a little strange. I mean, I don't have a dog or anything. Like, I grew up with cats, which it's more difficult to do that to your cat.
Yeah.
The cat is not as down with that.
Yeah, that is an interesting... I just thought that was weird because I'm like, a lot of people have dogs here.
People kiss their dogs on their mouth, though.
They let them lick all on the face.
I'm not okay with that. No.
Because they lick everywhere else.
Yes,
they
and
drink
everything
else.
else.
They drink it at the toilet, and you want it to lick your face.
I see my cat licking the carpet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that cat to lick me.
No, that's disgusting. Well, it's like the story we did the other week when the one man died of rabies because he got licked by bats.
Yeah.
Just think of the germs that are getting passed.
That's also crazy that man who died of rabies was the first case of rabies death since 1944.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah. So I guess in China they have more common cases of rabies.
I guess so, yeah.
Huh. I can see how that would influence you to not want pets, you know? But I think that's also we just have a different way we care for pets here.
Right. And that's true, too. But also, we have a lot of vaccines to prevent from a lot of...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That, too. So, not just for your pets, but for the humans, for us also.
Yeah, for all of us.
So, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But I just thought that was crazy that you can't walk your dogs in daylight hours. Like,
that
even
is crazy.
if... For the simple fact that this guy thinks it's, super bougie for you to have a pet.
That sounds like Mao.
Yeah. I don't know him. Now I got to go look him up.
I mean, I've never met him, but...
Right? My next topic that I found that was interesting is about a man who... Let me just tell you the story. I'm probably going to have to tell you half of this story. But anyway, this man is named... Okay, I'm going to mess up his name so bad. I'm so sorry. Agali Supyagaliev.
Okay.
Agali. That's where we're going to go with.
Yeah, that sounds good.
He's from Kazakhstan. I have no idea where that place is at. But he was, I guess, pronounced dead after a DNA test on a badly burned human remains proved that with a 99.2% certainty, it was him.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I guess he just wasn't around to...
Yeah, no, he wasn't around to...
prove that wasn't him?
Exactly. No, so the family...
That'd be like, man, if you were like out of town and then people just claim that you were dead, that'd be awful.
Yeah. We're going to take a break and I'm going to tell you the rest of this story when we come back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the GSMC Weird News Podcast. So, we're talking about a Ghali, a man who was pronounced dead from burnt human remains that proved with a 99.2% certainty that it was him. Right. I also said I had no idea where Kazakhstan is located in Heidi.
So we want to clarify.
Yes.
So Kazakhstan is country right below Russia. It was formerly part of the Soviet Republic, and it is next to Mongolia and China. And then it is also next to like the other stands like Uzbekistan, Pakistan, just like other countries around there.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's a pretty big country. I mean, obviously not as big as Russia or as China. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just like a group that was part of the Soviet Republic.
Right. So with that, authorities issued an official death certificate to his family. And he was quote unquote buried just because the body was burnt already.
Right.
And I think their tradition is, I don't know if it's cremation still or if they still bury him, but they had his brother, how his brother described it is his brother's name is Esengali. Mm-hmm. And he told a news site there that they held a wake and the extended family organized a traditional Kanil Shai ceremony, which is like friends come and share tea and sympathize with the bereaved family.
Okay. Kind of like a memorial almost.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So they did all that, and this happened, I want to say in September.
Okay. So they did the whole like grieving, mourning. Mm-hmm. They took care of the body.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they had to, because the burnt remains were found in a field, they tested it and then told the family. It wasn't like a family member who came and
just
said,
found it.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody found it and they were like, oh, we have to identify the body kind of thing. And that's how they did the DNA test.
God,
anyway.
Even worse.
Yeah. Ugh. So 2 months later, November, around this time, this happened this year, so it's recently.
Okay.
A Ghali walked through his brother's doorway, like his house.
So 2 months after they had gone through their whole mourning.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And Esengali, the brother, he says, like, soon as his brother, Egali, who was pronounced dead, walked through his door, his daughter, his young daughter, Esengali's young daughter, nearly dropped dead of a heart attack seeing her uncle, like, alive and well and walking through the front door.
That would be so encouraging and so terrifying.
Yeah. I was like, what, 2 months later, huh?
Right?
So apparently a Ghali has been known to just leave for weeks on end and just not tell the family. Like, he'll just go and about his business. So because they haven't heard from him for a while, they were like, okay, it has to be him. Like, he's
that makes
dead.
Sense.
You know, now we know, whatever. But apparently he actually taken up an offer for work in a nearby village from a man he met at the market in July. And this was a 4-month-long kind of work that he did.
So he had been gone for a while.
Yeah. He was gone in July. And then Yeah, so he actually walked to the village, did the work for the 4 months, and then walked back.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And so it was just shocking to like the whole family that he's even alive. And then they asked the scientist because they were
Right.
like, our brother's right here.
They did the DNA test.
Yeah. And with it being like a 99.2%, the scientist who did the DNA test says she stands by her 99.2% findings and that we shouldn't forget about the 0.8% that shows that it could possibly not be him.
Well, what is that? Like his almost twin?
I don't
A
know.
family member who died?
I don't know. I think that he was saying like on a day he was in the same marketplace as a person. But then I read this story to my sister and she was like, so did he kill that man? And that's why his DNA is on there and then he just left the body.
My God.
Or like so many questions. I was just like, well, maybe like they got it's just like a one-off where they got a piece of the DNA like mixed up.
Right, maybe in the lab they mixed
Yeah.
it up or something.
Yeah.
Or he killed him. Maybe that happened.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if it got mixed up in the lab, how would they have his DNA though?
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, he had to be around that dead body
Right.
person.
Or they just made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They could have just messed up.
Yeah. So I was like, that's super crazy. You're just gonna what?
Also, they went through that whole process for someone else.
Yeah.
So, like, I hope they didn't have to pay for anything.
Right.
Because they just paid for, like, the funeral of someone else. Also, what about that other person? Now
That's
they still don't know who that is.
That's what I'm saying. There's still a missing, and a whole family is missing a family member.
Oh, my
And
God.
they don't even know, like, if this person is alive or dead, and
Yeah, well, they're
what's
dead.
going on. Well, yeah.
Yeah, they're real dead.
Yeah. So I was like, it's really not that hard as a scientist to say I might have made a mistake instead of just saying I stand by that. Like, you obviously, this man is alive. There's obviously something happened. There's a mistake somewhere. Figure it out.
Right.
Find who the body actually belonged
Figure
to.
out who it. Oh man.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I'd be
this.
so pissed.
Right, me too. And the family is trying to get reimbursed for this whole, memorial that they had for him because they're
emotional damage.
yeah. And they were like, it's justified. No, he's supposed to be dead. And they're like, well, he's not clearly.
Right.
He's right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely crazy. 2 months and your whole family thinks that you're dead. And I
Right.
feel like that gives you enough time to like, even like as a little kid, like the daughter, his niece,
Yeah.
to grieve and then kind of move on. Like, oh
Right.
yeah, uncle's
You're
not
starting
here
to
no
move
more.
on.
Yeah.
That's cruel. Like
It
you've
really
gone
is.
through a mourning process and
Yeah.
then you're starting to like kind of like accept, what's going on and like
Exactly.
move forward. And then you have to go through another weird adjustment like mentally.
Yeah.
And if they went through their whole ceremony of like the grieving and like
Yeah.
sharing tea
The
and like
friends and the
mourning
family,
with each
yeah.
other. Yeah, that's
I would
just
be
cruel.
upset.
I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
At that point you just start selling the guy's stuff.
Yep,
You know,
right? I
like
wonder
you're
if
renting
they-
out his room.
Yeah, if they even had any of his stuff left. But apparently he
Oh.
was like he didn't have a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, it's kinda like traveled for work and
yeah,
stuff.
so if he had to travel to and from work, it's like, how much stuff do you
That's
really
true.
have? But
That's
still, it's like, really? How do you fix that?
Right. That's also weird because at that point, you're like, someone's passed and you've just said all the nice things about them.
Yeah.
Like they were such a great uncle.
Yeah.
And now they're back and you're like, well, yeah, no, I
Yeah,
lied. He
he's
wasn't
the-
that great.
I know. That would be horrible.
And then they'd be like, you said all those nice things about him. Like, well,
yeah,
he
I
was
did because I
dead.
had to.
Yeah.
Being respectful.
We were mourning,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
now I can say it.
I don't know. I just think that's horrible, and I hope that they redo a DNA test if they're able to on
Seriously.
the body that they found,
Right.
to give the other families some like closure.
Or send out some sort of memo like,
Yeah,
are you missing a family member?
exactly. We need to figure out
Right,
whose
come with
body this is.
DNA, like evidence of that person.
Yeah.
And we'll test it.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if you'd want the same people to test it. I feel like you'd get some different people.
I'd get a second opinion
get
for
some
sure.
different teams. God, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that was crazy for some families to. I mean, I know how it's like because I lost my mom 6 years ago, and that's hard enough. And then
You're right, yeah.
to go through all that, it's like, oh my gosh, and you're really. I would be freaked out. I would like seriously, just like the little girl, have probably a real life heart
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah.
Like, no way you're really here. Are you
What?
just-
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be hard to believe. Maybe this guy's just a zombie. Maybe he
could
did
be.
die and then he just came back from the dead.
Yeah, because that happens.
Yeah. That happens all the time.
I mean, it was 2 months later, not 3 days. So
Maybe he wandered around.
yeah,
Could be doing some other work.
Yeah. Our next our next topic is about a man named Daniel Sloss. I love his last name because it sounds so weird.
Sometimes like sloth.
Yeah.
Sloth.
Sloss. Daniel Sloss. Daniel Sloss is a comedian, and he has 2 shows out on Netflix right now. I'm going to tell you what's going on with Daniel Sloss when we come back from our next break.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Weird News Podcast. We're going to talk about the man I mentioned before the break named Daniel Sloss, who is a comedian and has 2 shows out on Netflix right now. Now, the interesting, weird, story about this man is he claims to... okay, hold on. One of his shows on Netflix is called Jigsaw, and he does a bit about relationships. And it's like a 15, 20-minute bit. I've seen this bit because after I read this, I had to go watch it. I was like, no way. He claims to, because of this bit, broken up over 4,000 relationships and has caused 17 divorces in just 10 days of this being aired.
17 divorces?
Yes. And they weren't just like mediocre divorces. Like I saw one of them message him and they were like, oh, was married for 19 years. Another one was like married for 13 years, 7
just
years.
Mediocre divorces.
Yeah, it was like long-term like marriages that have no longer, any relevance.
What?
Yeah, so now he knows that he caused these breakups and divorces because after this bit and even after the show, he tells people, if you break up because of this, message me on Twitter or tweet me about it so I can know. Because he wanted to know like how people like related to, or if they even listened to his words, I guess. But that's how he knows. And then he even comments on some of them. He's like, oh, that's 51 and counting or whatever. My God. Or yeah. And even some of the comments will be like, you can add another divorce to your,
No,
yeah. But
this is kind of sad.
It is. But at the same time, it's not really because in the bit, he talks about how society puts out an image that, or an idea that if you're not with somebody, you're either broken, incomplete, or not whole. And as a result of a lot of people settle with the wrong person, just to have someone there and feel complete.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So he goes on a little bit more depth with that, but his words of advice were to not force the wrong people into your lives, but to accept and be happy with who you are first before you force somebody who doesn't fit. And then you're just, stuck with somebody that you kind of settled for. You know what I mean? And then, so this kind of struck a chord with a lot of people. And then they went back and reflected on their relationships and themselves and why they even began that relationship, or maybe even just got comfortable and just let it keep going. So that's why a lot of them are like, you saved my whatever, we're no longer together. But some of them are still friends, some of them get it, some of them don't. But apparently a lot of these people are a lot more happier that they took his advice and decided to kind of look at the real situation or a bigger picture as far as why they really chose to be with that person or marry that person or whatever. So,
wow, man, I hope they did that for the right reason. I hope they didn't just like let fear like talk them into it, you know?
Right.
But I mean, 10 days though, that's not a long period of time.
It's really not.
That's not. I feel like if that happened, you're like already kind of thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, like in the back of your head,
Exactly.
you're already considering.
Yeah. And if you watch the bit or this dude's stand up, Daniel Sloss on Netflix, I'm not like, this isn't a pitch for him. I just thought it was, his delivery on this was amazing. Like how he made it make all make sense was he talks about how his dad kind of put it together for him when he was 7.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was one of his things is like, you know, everybody's putting their own jigsaw puzzles together and you got to find somebody who fits with you or something like that.
Is he married or is he in a relationship?
He's not. And he was in a toxic relationship. He does talk about his previous relationship and about how he went through the same thing. Like he started changing for her and then trying to make himself fit into her little jigsaw puzzle when he forgot about his own jigsaw puzzle he was working on.
Oh, I see.
Kind of like metaphor there. You know what I mean? So it was a really good bit. Like I said, his delivery was great. It makes sense because it, you know, he goes into how you said they probably were already thinking about it in some way. And that's exactly what he talks about too. He's like, if you're even thinking about it, then, you know, just listen.
Oh, wow.
So he did a really good job. I watched this other one too, just because I was like, I have to see what he talks about in this other one.
Right.
And the other one is called Dark, but he makes sense. And I thought that was the weirdest thing that he was able to, you know, tweet me if you broke up. I was like, oh my gosh, you want to know how you ruined these people's lives?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Especially if like one person in the relationship was like, oh yeah, I feel this. And the other person was like, wait, what?
Yeah. But then that's not
sad.
fair for the other person
It's
too.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's just like sad for the other person.
It really
you know?
is. It really is. But then that other person is like, then you can do better. You can get somebody who loves you for real.
I hope.
Yeah. And we're going to end on the topic of Stan Lee. I'm sure everybody knows that Stan Lee, the Marvel comic founder, creator, whatever, passed away yesterday. And the reason why I'm mentioning this in weird news is because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people feeling some type of way with the death of, he was considered a real life superhero.
Yeah.
And for creating a whole universe of superheroes and villains that everybody can relate to in some way, shape, form, or fashion to any of them, it's going to be weird not seeing him, like his live cameos in the future Marvel movies and stuff like that. I'm sure they'll find a way. Like maybe put a picture of him like on a back wall or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I also wanted to mention this because I thought it amazed me how many different people paid tribute to him, like on such a range of people too. It wasn't just like just the actors or certain musicians or anything like that. Like I saw rappers, actors, band members, political figures, like all sorts of people, athletes, paying tribute to Stan Lee, like soon as they heard that he passed.
Not just like comic nerds.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, I don't think it was just like a comic nerd thing because I grew up watching like Sunday morning or even after school cartoons where like X-Men, like the original I don't want to say the original, but they had like the yellow spandex suits, not like the black ones they have now. But yeah, those ones. And Storm is my favorite always because she's just awesome. But yeah, I feel like his like comics and then the portrayal of them into cartoons and then TV shows, because I know there's some on Netflix and on like, I don't know, local stations. There were some, and then also with the movies, I just think that it amazed me how many people were aware of who this man was and how, like, the impact he had. Right. You know, just being a writer, a comic book writer. So I love Marvel.
I mean, he did a lot. He was like a comic writer, editor, publisher. He was the editor-in-chief of like Marvel. Like he was like its chairman. He did a lot.
Yeah,
he really did. He accomplished a lot in his life.
Yeah,
he was 95.
Yeah, he lived a good life.
He did.
He lived a good life. And I think it's a year after his wife of over 50 years passed. She passed last year.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But he was an amazing guy. His work is amazing, and it will forever live on because who doesn't like Marvel, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
If you don't like Marvel and you're like more of a DC fan, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. I feel like if you're that fan, you would still mourn Stan Lee's death, though, because he was such a big figure in, you know, the comics world.
Yeah. And not just like villains, and it's like villains and heroes kind of storylines too. So anybody can relate, which is also amazing too, that it was like not just older people who knew Stan Lee and knew he worked.
So many generations.
Yeah, young people, old people, you know, middle, like everybody. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it will be weird not seeing him like walk around and say his little bit in the movies. They did say actually that he did do his last cameo in Avengers 4 that will be coming out. He did film that. So
thank God. You'll
be able to see him in that. And I think he might have made one also for the upcoming Spider-Man already.
Oh, okay.
So my brother-in-law is the biggest Marvel fan I know. And like he has every single comic book of Marvel. Like he can tell me anything I want to know about Marvel. Like he's like the epitome of comic book nerd when it comes to like Marvel. Yeah. So if you need to know anything, he even tells me like how, you know, when each movie is going to be coming out for the past 10 years. He's like, this one's coming out. He'll send me like links of them. And did you see this one? I'm like, yeah, no, I did. So he shed a tear when Stan Lee died, which he's like a grandpa or whatever. I'm like, I get it. I get it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to end on that because I do know some people are going to be feeling some type of way with the passing of Stan Lee. He was a great man. So thank you so much for listening to our Weird News podcast. Join us next time for some more weird news.